So if it's a product or service that's primarily like if it's a product like yeah anybody can use it but seniors are as well, so let's say like for example Medicare or some product or service that they primarily use, right? So active aging coach, so it could be something that you directly market to them, but it also might be something that their kids or grandkids also assist them with, right? So I do a lot of things for my father. So you would reach me on social media. My father would probably read the newspaper, right? Not so much on email and social media these days at age 85. But you can also look at the generations down from there to assist with it because I look at everything for him, and services and products. So you can reach me on social media for that stuff. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you have products and services for kids, you're most likely going to be dealing with their parents of zillennial, millennial, and above age, and maybe even the grandparents, right? So something to think about with social media. And then comparing social media and email. All right, so email has the best return on investment of any marketing tool out there, more than double of social media. And you can see from the chart across the board, all age groups are checking emails, where it really, you could see on the top left, as I was showing earlier, it really drops off with that, say, 45 plus, 50 plus, not as heavily compared to the younger generation. Very important to be doing both, but just keep in mind that if you are looking for the older audience, you email might be a way to reach them more so than social media. And then, so the importance of social media, so it's a few little extra stats here. So over 4 billion users connect through various platforms daily. So I'll add all those platforms up combined, all those billions of numbers. 45% of shoppers say social media hooks their attention. So we are, buying off of social media. Definitely will help increase your visibility for your brands and build trust with your business, with your customers. 84% share information on social media to support a cause. So for nonprofits, it's important. And 20% of consumers are more likely to buy from brands they can reach on social media. So customer service, being there, paying attention to people contacting you, right? Remember having had this flash of the conversation. I was teaching an in-person class, and this was before COVID, and it was for a WBC up in Central Coast. And I remember somebody raising their hand and saying, "Do I really have to like respond like right away and look at the customer service? If people contact you on social media, like I just don't want to have to do that. Like, can I just look at it once a week?" And so she's staring at her, asking me this question. I go, "Well, look at it this way. Would you not pick up your phone if somebody was calling? If you had a customer service line, like, yeah, I don't really want to answer it, but once a week, right? So look at it the same way, whether it's your people are calling on a phone, sending an email, or sending you a social media message, right? Definitely being responsive. Um, let's see. Three areas to focus on. We're kind of talking the simple recipe for social media success today. So definitely using social media to increase your awareness, right? Show your products and services, events if you have them, offers you have, etc. Educate them as well. Provide that customer service, right? People are sending you messages via Facebook or whatever, Instagram or whatever. If they are, make sure you're there to answer those questions. We are in a get an order by tonight kind of world, thanks to Amazon, right? And so we want answers quickly, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Right? Have a plan, have a chat bot set up if you can't be online answering the questions directly at 3 o'clock in the morning. And then definitely driving action, right? Link back to your website, get them to sign up for your email list, share your offer. So, breaking it down into these three areas, making sure you're covering these, and we'll talk about these. So great, generating awareness. That's we probably all do for our business, right? Creating whatever that is awareness that you need for your business, getting that out there. And here's the customer service. So if somebody is, putting comments or asking questions, make sure you're paying attention. You should be getting notifications. I know I get them through Facebook and Instagram or Meta for me and my business and my clients' businesses that I do the services for them. And so as soon as we get them, as long as it's not 3 o'clock in the morning, we answer them as quickly as we can. So everybody's on top of those to make sure they get an answer as quickly as possible. Right. And then definitely, as I already talked about on the marketing strategy circle, know your audience, of course, first, who you're selling your product or service to. And that's something that you should have already figured out before you even came up with the product or service, right? You're like, why did you develop it? Who did you develop it for? So same with on social media. If you have that targeted audience, you want to, of course, identify the pain points and address those, right? Making sure you're choosing the right platforms where your audience does engage, right? And figure that out. You can check out my social media class to know like where they're hanging out by age again. And then definitely having set your clear goals to succeed on social media. And I know that I hear this all the time. It is overwhelming. There's a lot of work to do, right? And if you don't like doing it, it's even more overwhelming out there. But it is an important part of the marketing mix to do all of this stuff, right? And then definitely having your brand voice. So, especially if you have multiple people doing your social media for your business, whether it's your kids, still insist on having your kids help you out, or you or your staff or whatever, make sure that you have established a clear brand voice and brand identity, right? Everybody has a little bit different how we talk, different, maybe even different generations. We have different slang words out there, different emojis and acronyms and stuff. But make sure, like, if, say, for example, you have a young, 20 something year old and they communicate differently and your audience is 45 plus, make sure they understand that. I have a client that is a Southern restaurant, Southern Creole restaurant, and my social media person was not really getting that. It's a real casual voice to it. Some of the social media posts and titles and things they were doing for their emails were like if it was an elegant, restaurant. And I'm like, no, you need to change. So, making sure that they understand the brand voice and brand identity and, get it, and finally did get it a little too much in a point. So I'm still trying to find that balance with it, but making sure so that you're consistent. You don't have, I had a client, a winery client, and generally, across the board, you do have to be careful with, using certain language or whatever. And I had one brand, young couple and husband and wife, and the husband was the winemaker, and they can do whatever they wanted to do. And they would drop F bombs, and they, would go do mosh pits at, Metallica concerts or whatever. And that was their brand. And their brand expected that. And now my other clients, would they drop F bombs in their social media? No, but for them, it worked, and so understand, like if I had come and I did their social media for them, now I didn't purposely do any F bombs for them, but the tone for their brand was a lot more casual and relaxed than it would have been for some of my other brands. And if I would have tried to have a more, I would say, I want to say conservative, I don't mean conservative politically, but conservative language wise for their brand, it would not have resonated. Just like that more kind of, fancy talk for my Southern brand didn't work at all. So making sure you do have very consistent messaging with your brand voice and your posts and all the things you do out there. Very important. And then content pillars. Has anybody here ever created their content pillars for their business? Which means you would know what I'm talking about. So say yes in chat or raise your hand. We're going to talk about content pillars now. Yes. Okay. So we have some yeses. All right. A few no's. Like who was people are like, what are you talking about? All right. Okay. Perfect. So we have some people understand pillars. So basically, we talk about their content types and content pillars and it's for social media, but of course, some of these could also be used for email marketing as well. So basically, what your content pillars are, I'm going to actually show you my slide on there here. So first thing we talk about here is the four content types. Okay. And then we'll talk about pillars, right? So the four buckets of content types that you want to have that your pillars will be based on are the educational, interactive, inspirational, and promotional, right? So promotional is probably we're all good at those. Here's my product, here's my service, here's my product, here's my service, right? Promote, promote, promote. And then educational content, that could be a number of things, FAQs, how-to guides, tutorials, your industry insights, anything that's considered educational for your business. Inspirational content, could be success stories, motivational quotes, testimonials, behind the scenes, and then interactive content. So your quizzes, polls, contests, user generated, etc. And then, so those are the four content types, all right? But pillars, and some of you are already familiar with them, but for those that are not, right? So just exactly as it says here, it's the key topics or themes that your brand's content will revolve around. And you can pick whatever, 3 to 5, depending on how many times you're going to post per week, different themes that give you that structure and consistency with your messaging, your posts out there. So I'm going to give you some examples. So for those that don't understand what a pillar is, and you can use AI tools, ChatGPT or whatever. I'm going to show you on my content calendar how to prompt and get some content pillars out of AI if you can't think of them on your own. But I think you'll kind of get the idea here. And this is a breakdown of the percentage of content that you would put out there. So should be only about 10% promotional and a mix of the rest, 70%. So that'd be that educational, and then that inspirational, and the engaging would be that 20%. So definitely want to be very informational if you can, as opposed to being all about the products and services, right? So here are some examples of some content pillars. These were generated off ChatGPT for some of my clients. And so this particular client, he helps businesses with company culture, leadership building skills, employee retention, etc. So these 8 that came out, we kind of look at the content types I mentioned, the 4 buckets that we talked about. And you want to pick the pillars that consistently you have content for on a weekly basis, right? Not something that's a stretch I might only have once in a while, right? So let's just say, for example, his 4 strongest pillars, let's say 4 times a week he's going to post leadership development, company culture, company updates and services. That would cover the promotional. And let's just say skill development and training. Now, those will be his 4 pillars that he can create content for on a weekly basis. And if he wants to add I call them sub pillars, right? So some of the other ones, maybe he doesn't have testimonials and success stories every week, but maybe once a month he posts that up. So if you want to do more themes, at least this way, every single week we're going to cover these top 4, 5 pillars, and then we're going to sprinkle in the rest as we need more content, right? And hold that thought, Suzanne. I'm going to share that AI prompt for the content pillars when I show the content calendar. Here's another one for wineries we were talking about earlier. So they might use, say, wine education, events and tastings, promotions and special offers, and pairings and recipes. So I kind of cover those 4 buckets. And then once in a while, they might have something on sustainability practices and vineyard life, and the other ones I didn't mention. Again, you at least pick your top 4 or 5 and then work from there. I don't know if anybody who already has done their pillars, how many pillars do you use, if you want to share in the chat, and how that's working for you, that to have pillars versus when you didn't have your pillar. So if you want to share, we'd love to hear that. Here's a couple more. So travel agency, right? So a lot of things you can talk about. So they pick maybe destination spotlights, travel deals and promotions, educational content, and local culture and traditions. And then the other ones they kind of sprinkle in there as well. And then I don't know if we have any nonprofits in the room, but most likely the nonprofits, doesn't matter what your cause is, you probably have similar pillars, right? So impact stories, so who or what you help, volunteer or donor spotlights, events and fundraisers, all right, kind of promote and get some money, and then maybe community engagement. And then the other ones, again, you can sprinkle in as you have content for them, and want to expand beyond, say, 4 posts per week, right? So setting up the content pillars, I'm going to show you that prompt, and you'll get that too with the content calendar. So now planning the content, right? So I'm going to share my calendar. No call to action with content pillars. So yeah, there is call to actions with them. It depends on your pillars, right? And what you're doing. So you don't always want to say, if you're doing an educational post, like, here, go buy our product, right? So you could depends on what you're posting, but you generally not always have a call to action on every single post, because you're not always going to say promote something, unless it's like read the rest of the article, or here's a resource, so you don't always want to link out to something out there. Sometimes some of the platforms don't, especially like LinkedIn, don't want you to always be linking out to something, as well. So And then, yeah, content pillars for someone said, what are some content pillars for a bakery? Right? Somebody want to come up with some pillars for a bakery? What could that be? It could be a little bit different with what when it comes to food, restaurants and bakeries and etc. It's really all about getting the food out there, right? We see food, we eat it, right? Pavlov's dog, right? We salivate. And generally, it's like if you're open 7 days a week, you should probably post 7 days a week, right? If I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed and I see my clients' tacos on there, I'm like, oh, I want those now. I'm not like, oh, that was good for next Tuesday, right? So, or when they're open again. So it's all really all about the food. Don't focus. And if you're doing community stuff, right? So that would be something if you're doing any events around it. Oh, yeah, somebody here getting some ideas here. Holiday, obviously planning for the holidays wouldn't necessarily be a pillar, but think about just getting beautiful, salivating pictures of your baked goods out there on a regular basis because people are going to see it and they're going to want to come get it like now. Right. I was talking to one of my clients in LA, and she has two taco restaurants, and we were talking about she's going to be doing a tamale making event coming up in December, and I'm just as I'm talking to her, I'm just looking at her website and food, and I'm like, oh my God, I wish she was closer. I'm like, I'm gonna head over there right now. I was getting hungry. But it works, you know. So definitely make sure you're planning out and have those pillars. But in some cases, you're not necessarily focusing on those pillars, especially when it comes to food, right? Get that food out there. So a calendar, right? So one of the most important steps I'd say in planning your marketing overall, not just social media, is having a calendar. Whatever that tool is, I'm going to share with you my content calendar. I'm going to show you the pages. You're going to get to download it. It's a Google Sheets document. I try to keep it simple, but if you want to use something else, use a fancy tool or whatever, totally up to you. Just use something. Make sure you're planning ahead. It does help take away the overwhelm. Right. And especially when I say plan ahead, like right now we're right in smack in the middle of Q4, but let's just say going back a few months, if you are holiday driven, you should have had Q4 planned out by the end of August, right? So for next year, plan ahead. And if you're holiday driven, like Valentine's Day will be the next kind of holiday that's for gift giving, right? That should be planned by the end of November, Mother's Day by Valentine's Day. So start thinking ahead for those type of things. Because I have people contact me now, like, I need to plan my holiday right now. I'm like, wait, it's November, November 13th right now. What are you talking about? Not that you still can't get some post up and emails, but you're scrambling, right? Then you're flying by the seat of your pants. So make sure you're planning way ahead. Use a calendar for planning and archive purposes, right? So once you have it, you can look at it next year and go, what did we do last year that month? What do we need to repeat or do over again? So, and definitely will help you sync all your marketing efforts up. So your email, your social media, your blogs, text marketing, all of those things, you want to sync them up and make sure you're covering all those bases, right? So I'll show you the calendar. So, right, having a process in place, right? If you're, I'm sure anybody here want to say they're overwhelmed by getting it all done, like raise your hand, right? Say yes in chat, hallelujah. That's okay, because it is a lot, right? Yes. But if you're doing it yourself, have a plan in place for it, have a process in place. And so I typically will break this down into kind of these three blocks of time, right? So your time to create the calendar. So let's just break it down. We'll step back in a month, right? So I'm always working a month ahead for me and my clients that I'm done, my done for you clients. So where are we? We're middle of the month. We're already working on December content. So at the beginning of November is when the first couple of days, we're planning out the actual calendar, filling it out. What are we going to do for social and email and all of that stuff? And then we're creating the content up through the 15th, 20th of each month. Because all my clients have to approve all of their content before it goes out. So I have to get them the calendar, and that gives them some days to review it, ask for edits, us to redo the content if they ask for it, and review it and approve it by the end of the month. All right. So the first few days are getting that calendar planned out, create all the content, which would be your biggest block of time. And then you need to schedule it all. Right. So I use a social media scheduling tool called Metricool, and I just go through the entire month's worth of content and get it all posted, or not posted, scheduled up all at once. So I'm not worried about what's going on social media today because it's already been scheduled out. It will just automatically send out on my scheduled days. and I don't have to go into panic. Like, oh my God, I haven't posted for a week. What do I post? Right. So plan out, if again, if it's you doing it yourself, block your time on your calendar. I know that's hard because we all get distracted by a million things, but whatever, a couple hours on the beginning of the year of the month for planning the calendar part. The creation part, that's going to depend. Like you have to create the graphics and the videos and blogs and emails and all that stuff. So you have to figure out like how many hours per week you're going to need to do that, before the end of the month. And then the time to schedule your posts, schedule your emails, your blogs, whatever content you're doing. That might be 2 to 3 hours per month, towards the end to get everything scheduled out. So you'll figure out your timing, but honor that time on your calendar. Otherwise, it's just not going to get done. I was talking to somebody yesterday. She goes, I just don't have time to get it all done. I don't know. She's just so overwhelmed by it. She just, it was just floating around. I said, put it in your calendar and you have to block it off and honor it. If not, is it going to get done? She's like, probably not. Right. So put it on there like you would an appointment. Act like it's like, your appointment for your doctor to save your life. All right. Just as important. Okay, good seeing you, Suzanne. Thanks for coming by. And then creating, right? So is everybody using Canva or at least something similar to Canva now? Say yes, everybody love Canva, right? Use a tool that makes it easy for you to create all of your marketing materials, right? And it's such an awesome tool these days. I highly recommend, I don't earn any money from Canva, but I highly recommend you pay the very cheap $10 a month if you buy it annually or pay annually, or 15 if you buy monthly, free if there's any nonprofits. Check out the nonprofit situation there. But you're going to be very frustrated with the free version quickly because there's a lot of things, a lot of tools that they have that are on the paid version, more graphics you have access to, more AI tools and things. So definitely make that a very tiny investment in Canva. So I think they could charge a lot more for the tool, but they have billion plus subscribers, so those Australians are making good money. They should invest in stock, but I don't know if they have stock in Australia. Metrical, so they're scheduling tools. So we're talking strictly social media. Use a scheduling tool. So if you're just on Facebook and Instagram, you can use Meta. The Meta Business Suite has a scheduling tool, and you can actually schedule both together at the same time, tweak them per post. I've landed on Metrical after using years ago Hootsuite. Let's see, I don't know if I ever used Buffer, Post Planner later. Out there, I've used Metrical now for it's been a couple of years already. I really love their reporting tools because I need to give those reports to my clients. So I can just download the reports and here it is. I don't have to go manually pull reports from all the different platforms. I can multi-schedule posts. So if I have a client that I'm posting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google, or whatever, I can do them all at once, make the minor tweaks per platform, and then get them all scheduled out. So a lot of the tools do that as well. And you can what's called evergreen, or what Metricool calls auto listing posts, where say, for example, I want to post every week, like, hey, join our mailing list. I don't have to always reschedule it. I can say, post this every Tuesday at 9 a.m. forever, and it will just evergreen it or keep posting it for me without me having to do anything. So just some things to think about. There is a free version of it, and the next version up, the paid version, I think is like $18 a month. The free version has some limitations. I don't think you can do LinkedIn or Twitter on it or X on it. So something to think about. So the content calendar. So again, you're going to be able to download this. You'll get it with the assets later from Pace. It is a Google Sheets document. You'll get 2025. I'm days away from releasing 2026. I will make sure if I get it released, I will add it to the landing page automatically. So should be there, or make sure you're on my list to get it. But it's coming out any moment now. So you have some pre-planning before 2026 comes out. So there's a welcome tab. I don't have the slide for it, but on the welcome tab, make sure you look at that first because it shows you how to make a copy of it, because this is right protected. And then there also is a short video that's going to just repeats what I'm going to show you now, a little 20-minute, review of the different pages on here. So the first tab after that is what's called the hashtag days. So these are the daily hashtags you can use for content: Monday motivation, Tuesday tips, Wednesday wellness, what, etc. So those are on there for you to use. Now here's the content pillar prompt. I know Suzanne already left, but I have, forget what it says. I have to update the slide. Forget the versions of ChatGPT. They're beyond the 3.5 and 4, but paid versus free, right? So if you're paying for ChatGPT, you can just do the first prompt. You can put in your URL and it will go to your website and find information and help you write the pillars. If you're on the free version, you kind of have to feed it more information, like, I'm a marketing business. I help small businesses with marketing and social media, blah, blah, blah. I got to tell them who I am. And you could try it on other AI tools. I haven't done it on Google or Claude or any, but you can try and see if it will pull up content pillars for you as well. And then should spit out 8 to 10 pillars. You can obviously create your own as well. Paste them here, decide which are going to be your strongest pillars out there and which ones you're going to kind of add in if you want to. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to take off my glasses. I have some spot on it. It's driving me crazy. There we go. Okay, got the spot off. Next page, every month you have the national holidays tab. So these are pulled primarily from nationaldaycalendar.com. So beyond the traditional holidays like Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving, these are just kind of fun holidays to add for content. And get engagement and reach. So there might be some that are related to your business. I do have a client that's a transportation logistics business. There is actually a National Logistics Day and a National Barcode Day, but we'll do fun things like National Bring Your Dog to Work Day, because a couple of them bring their dogs to work, and it's part of the company culture stuff. So use these, to your, and also for email. Right. So example, wineries there's National Chardonnay Day or National Cabernet Day. So I've worked with wineries that we've done like a National Cabernet Day, Cabernet special, and we've put it on social media and email. So some could be used over for that as well. So those are the holidays. Now these are the calendar pages. So when you get yours, they'll be blank. This is just filled out for the demo purposes. So you'll see the color coding key there at the top. Holidays are in red. Events are green, email campaigns orange, your website blog is baby blue, LinkedIn article, which you'll see on the B2B version, and of course that's a B2B site, is dark blue, social media posts, so whether it's just a static image or um, a text post would be the purple, social media stories, so your Instagram or Facebook stories, turquoise, and your social media video, so reels, TikTok, shorts, etc. would be your in pink. And so to fill this out, so the first thing I would do, like right now, you're at the end of the year. So when you get the 2026 calendar, right, the first thing I would do when I'm planning my year out is I will go through and pick I'll check the box on all the holidays on each of the months, right? Get those, just do a quick glance, check those boxes so I know, okay, which ones I plan to use. The next thing I'll do is any events that I'm aware of that I need to promote. If we know them already as the year is coming up, get those plugged in. And then any of the holidays I would add to the calendar itself after checking the box. Each month I would go and add that. If I'm going to use any hashtag days, I will plug in the entire year. I'll copy and paste them on the days that I'm using them. So for this skincare brand, right, we were using Motivation Monday and Wellness Tuesday or Wellness Wednesday. And so even if I don't use them, I'm going to put them on the entire year and just kind of bookmark them there. And if I decide not to, I'll just take it off. And you can see three of the weeks here didn't use the Motivation Monday on there. So I'll get those put in first and then start filling in other things here. So, or if I'm doing blogs, I know once a month I do a blog. I'm going to pick a day each month that I'm going to do the blog, get that content in there. And then you start working the other content around it. So starting with, and just so you know, 2026, if anybody does SMS or text marketing, I'm adding that onto the calendar. So that will also be something you can plan out on here as well. So in sync with your other content. So for the example, so let's just look at the hashtag days, right? So the first line of, say, purple or whatever you're going to do for social media is just what is it? So it's going to be a hashtag day. The second line is you're going to put specifically what you're going to plan for that particular post. So you can see on the Wellness Wednesdays, the second line of purple for the post, and we're also doing a story, so we're doing both. Is we're going to do a skincare tip on vitamin C or sun protection or food for skin. So this way I know for planning, I have to create a video or a post about sun protection or vitamin C. And then also for archive purposes, you also have it there. So I can look back and go, okay, I already did the vitamin C skincare tip last month. I won't repeat it again. Right. So we have that. If you're doing the videos, you can see on Thursdays, it's going to be a how to use a product video, and then the specific product you're going to do the how to on. If you're going to do an ask a question post, put the question there. So you know to create it. Or the MLK holiday, we're going to use I had a dream quote. So I know to have to go pull that. So get specific on there so you know what to plan and of course for archive purposes. For email, even though this isn't an email class, but just show how it works. It works a little bit differently. So you go a little bit backwards when you're planning. So here we have a lot going on this month. We have a January resolution sale for the entire month. We have a blog post. We have an event. We have the farmers market, and we have a sale on hyaluronic acid for National Hyaluronic Acid Day. And we have a contest to win a skincare trio. So lots going on. So first thing, the event, farmers market. So when I say work backwards, right, we have the event on the 13th, and then the very last email would be the day before, okay, the 12th, and then working backwards, we'd go about 4 to 6 weeks back on event if you have that time, and every week post about that event up until the event happens. The resolution sale, the very last post is the 31st, or sorry, email is the 31st, and then the very first one is the second, and then every week in between. The other three things on here, just one-off day, the blog post, the sale on the serum, and the contest. So plan those out, sync them with your other content, right? So you know that if you're doing a post on social media for the skincare trio contest, you're also going to do an email on that as well. And then maybe text as well if you're doing text marketing. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you are B2B, the calendar is exactly the same. The only additional thing you see here, like I mentioned, the LinkedIn article or newsletter under the 7th. So if I'm doing a blog, it goes up on my website. I go to LinkedIn, I do my newsletter, I post it on my other social media that will link to my website, and then I also send an email out. So I'm hitting all corners, right? Everybody gets my blog, and no matter where you're following me on my subscribe to my list or whatever. So that's the only difference with B2B. So there's that page. And then every month you have a social post page. This is where you can plan out your content. So, and lay it out and get it ready to post and schedule. I use this for the approval process for my clients. So I have to lay everything out, the captions, the hashtags, the links, the images you can drop in here. If it's a video content reel or something, or even the images, sometimes now I will just link to the Canva file, and as they can go click on it, it will open up the Canva file. They can look there. I like having the static images here because then they don't have to go click on something. But if it's a video, and I can't, drop it in here, they just have the link to Canva on there. So you have that for every month. And the text marketing one will be similar. There'll be one for each month to plan out your text marketing. And then there's one tab for planning out your blogs, just a running list of all the blogs you're going to do, whether you have an approval process or not, but this is where we lay everything out. We put the topics, we put the actual blog articles on a Google Docs file rather than pasting that whole blog here. And this way it's up there, like my clients and I will edit it together and share it. So it's on a shared drive and a shared doc as well. So that's what that link is for. And then emails, you also have a running, list of all your emails where you can lay out your content, your links, your images, and your subject line and all that. Lay that out. So that one addition, again, will be text marketing for 2026. So that's the calendar. So again, you're going to get that content calendar. And let me just see it. I wasn't checking to see if there's any questions that came up. Are we in? Oh yeah, we're in Q&A. There we go. Let me just go quick here. Let's see. I have a professional Instagram account for my business. Do you recommend I also start a personal page to be able to share with my family and friends? So if you want to start a personal page, yes, I would say for the most part, keep them separate. I do know people who have like one Instagram account, they have their personal stuff and professional stuff. It really depends. I recommend keeping it professional and then having a separate personal page, right? And let's see, can you talk about Substack? What is it? Why need it? I'm not as familiar with Substack. I don't use it. If anybody else uses Substack, I mean, I know about Substack. I just not a user of it, so I couldn't really speak about it. So sorry about that. So if anybody here in the room uses it and wants to explain what they do with it, that would be great. Let's see, Pine Tree Society Scar Me. I don't know what that means. Like conversation if you need an answer or something on that. Are hashtags being phased out on IG? Not that I've heard. So, and I'll check on that. But as far as I know, Instagram or hashtags are not going anywhere because we still use them and people discover content around that. So, unless Instagram or Meta has made any big decision about that, so I'm not sure. And then I don't know what that, if something affinity. Yeah, if I'm missing a question here, some of them I don't understand what they are, please repost them, post the question. I would say I was told to use hashtags with your SEO keywords. Yeah, well, um, that would be a good Brandon question. I haven't heard that because it's like they could be things that are trending on social media, say talking about Instagram specifically. It could be similar, but maybe not, but yeah, I wouldn't say there's any really hard and fast rules when it comes to using hashtags. Use what works for you. And there are different, you can use branded hashtags, community hashtags. My other presentation, I do go into hashtags more so than this presentation. But you don't have to, it's like the hashtag algorithm doesn't see hashtags anymore. I'll look into that. I haven't heard that, but it's possible they're always changing the algorithm with Instagram, and we're always chasing down the algorithm. So I would say focus on posting quality content, right? Don't worry about chasing an algorithm with a certain type of post. What are the people that you're trying to get to work with you want to see? What are they interested? Not what an IG's algorithm wants to see, right? So I had a client, he just posted himself banging on a gong. He does like sound healing. And just that banging on a gong got him like 65,000 views or likes and not like comments, 500 comments, 65, almost 100,000. It got up to almost like 95,000 likes. And normally he gets like 25, 10. He only had 100 followers. He gained about 400 new followers. It's really tiny, but something that gong just went viral like crazy. And it wasn't any just him banging the gong, showing what it's like to it was basically showing like what it's like in sound healing, which is just a light tapping, resonating, as opposed to banging it like you see in movies and stuff. And it just went viral and wasn't anything he did. Wasn't a hashtag strategy or anything. So post up that content that your followers would be interested in, right? Let me see. Okay, I'm going to read these questions and I'll keep going. What if there is a trend on a day on one of the platforms? Are there good rules of thumb to follow for when to jump on and when to keep going with what you've already scheduled for that day? Yeah, I would say again, that kind of goes back to what I just said. Stick with what your people want, right? What's going to resonate with them? What's going to drive them to like think about you and maybe work with you in some way? So, I mean, it's hard to like for businesses to worry about jumping on certain trends every single day. I know that tends to be popular, but I'm saying stick with a consistent schedule with the quality content. Don't chase followers, right? Don't worry about having a ton of followers because it's like this, like my guy had 100 followers and got 95,000 views. Did he get anything from it as far as business? Not really. It got more brand awareness, got him 400 plus more followers, but are they interested in a sound healing that he does in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Not maybe it could have capitalized in some virtual type of thing with that, or it would have been better for him if it was on LinkedIn because at the time he was focusing on corporate wellness events and things as opposed to like individual events and things that he was doing at the time. So yeah, that's it's always a lot, but stick with the consistency that works for you, not necessarily what's trending because that's just going to change, right? What can one expect to pay for a social media manager, help, VA range, at least an educated guess. It is all over the map, Christine. You can find really inexpensive social media people, say even overseas. You can find them here. Um, it's going to range. It could be like a couple $100 a month to a couple $1,000 a month or more. So you just want to make sure that you're finding something that somebody that understands your brand, that's in your budget, right? And you have to also calculate, right? Everybody's like, well, I can just do it myself, right? You want to also calculate your time, what your time and money is worth, right? So if you need to work on your business rather than in your business, what's the rate? I'll just give you a quick calculation. So a lot of entrepreneurs don't do this. What is your revenue goal for each year? What do you need to make at least in revenue to, like, not say break even, but be comfortable, right? Pay all your bills, save for your retirement, whatever. What's your revenue goal? We're just going to make up a number and make it a low number. Let's just say you want to make $250,000 a year in revenue. Okay. And then you only want to work, let's just say 40 hours a week. So it was 100, say 160 average a month, right? Of hours. And you divide that, the number of hours that you want to work, by that revenue goal, right? And let's just say it's you bringing that revenue. What is that? I'm just going to make up a number because I can't calculate. Let's just say that number is like you need to make $200 an hour for every of those 160 hours in order to meet that revenue goal. So if you could hire somebody to do your social media for $50 an hour and a bookkeeper for $30 an hour, right? Because you should be earning $200 an hour. It doesn't make mathematical sense for you to do it, right? So you have to figure out, you have to have that 50, 20, $30 an hour in order to pay somebody to do it. But think about your time and, whatever that calculation is for you. It's a simple calculation, but important, right? And even like, how are you going to reach that revenue goal? That's another, and I don't, Swan, talk about that. Maybe something they work on with PACE too, is like, what are the things you have to do to meet that revenue goal? If you have different streams of income, how many of this X you have to sell or Y you have to sell in order to meet those revenue goals, so that you know how to prioritize what you're selling and what you're doing. So yeah, it's all over the map as far as what you can spend, but just making sure you have somebody that is giving you quality content, knows your brand, knows the strategy behind it, is most important, rather than like they're really cheap, right? Cheap might be good, but you have to be careful with that too. So making sure you getting what you pay for. And I'm not sure what anonymous is. Woodford's Family Services. I'm not sure what you're posting there. Does Metricool cover LinkedIn? Yes, it does. I just was said on the free version, they don't cover LinkedIn, so you'd have to go up to the paid. And I believe if the pricing's still the same, it's about $18 a month for the cheapest version, and you can get all of the platforms on there. And use Constant Contact for email auto blast and Metricool simply to show the content for email auto blast for approval with your clients, or do you use Metricool for everything? So Metricool is only a social media scheduler. It doesn't do emails. So I use Constant Contacts for emails. You can do social media scheduling through there. I just don't use it because I prefer to just schedule them via Metricool because I have more tools over there than I do on. Nothing wrong with Constant Contacts, social media scheduler. It might work for you, but I have multiple brands that for my clients, so I just keep it on one tool. It's easier for me. Yes, perfect. And then okay, perfect. Okay, I've answered the question so far. I'm going to keep on trucking here. There we go. Okay. Oops. I don't think I even talked about that one. So making sure, right, you're engaged and you build your community. And I already kind of mentioned that. Reply to your comments, answer those questions. You don't have to like comment or like every single comment. If somebody's just liking something, you don't need to like their like. Someone saying, hey, that's cool. You don't have to like that. But if somebody's, taking the time, they just want to show that you're there, right? That you're not ignoring, you're not a Kardashian with a million plus billion followers, whatever they have, and they're not going to respond personally to their all of the comments and everything. But at least if your customers or whoever are taking the time to make a comment, at least you could like it or make a comment back if it's an important one, but doesn't have to be on every single one of it. Just like, ooh, that's cool. Thanks for saying it's cool. Ask questions, of course, to encourage participation. So some of your social media posts, like I had on that holiday, what's your favorite PB&J combination as a kid? That seems simple, but people like answering questions, right? So definitely analyze your social media performance. Look under the hood. Very important to see what's happening. What's your engagement, your reach, right? You can definitely check your follower count. Like I said, Metricool has, I think out of all the scheduling tools I've used in the past, has the best reporting tools for all the different social media platforms, give you all of those numbers in one place so you don't have to go searching all over the place for them. But definitely look under the hood to see what's going on. Sorry, my mouse is just auto moving the slides. Hands off my mouse. Definitely stay consistent for success, right? It's all about consistency. Use the scheduling tools to make it easy so you're not having to worry about it every day, of course. And definitely authenticity wins, right? We're in an era, love artificial intelligence, but we're starting to get to that point of like, is it real or not? Right? We're using AI generated images and video content even now. So they're actually better, right? A couple of years ago when well, at least ChatGPT first came out, this picture might be a person with like 7 fingers and 3 eyeballs and stuff, right? So we're like, yeah, we know that's AI generated. Now it's more realistic, right? So it's harder to tell what's really authentic or not, but use your own authentic voice, your own authentic brand identity, and if can, images as much as possible, out there, because we're kind of in that unreality world, non-reality. What's real, what's not. It's getting to be kind of scary in a way. It's so good out there. So definitely using the right tools. Use tools like Canva, Constant Contact. It's Constant Contact for email, but you can use it for a lot of different things, of course. AI, use it as well. As spare as much as you can. Be careful with it. And then these are the things that Constant Contact does, right? Back in 1995, and I don't think I used Constant Contact that far back, but pretty close, was just email marketing, right? So now they have text marketing. You can do surveys, post your social media. You can do social and Google advertising. They do have AI tools built into it now. You can do event registrations, landing pages, surveys. So it does a lot more. It's not just an email marketing platform any longer. So definitely check out Constant Contact. And at the end, the last slide, I'm going to give you a little gift from Constant Contact as well. So get your cameras ready for that QR code. So to kind of wrap up your recipe for success, right? Know your audience, of course. Establish that consistent brand voice and message. Create those content pillars if you haven't. Quite a few of you have already. Develop that engaging content that connects with your users, right? You want yours, not just everybody who's out there, like I said, jumping on the latest trend. If it works for your clients, then great, jump on the trend. If it doesn't have anything that would appeal to your clients, then don't worry about it, right? Plan out your content to reduce that overwhelm. Engage actively with your community. Analyze those metrics, and again, stay consistent for long-term success. So I won't read this entire slide, you'll get this, but just things to think about as we finish. Assessing your capacity and skills to get all of this done. What does that look like? Definitely plan out your goals. I already mentioned that in your marketing plan. Understanding your business needs, calculate those numbers I mentioned. Evaluating how you're going to manage your content creation, and the financial numbers already talked about. Thinking about your brand growth and engagement, how you're going to effectively handle that. And any type of professional support. Somebody mentioned, like, how do I hire somebody and how much do I pay them? So looking at that. And then looking ahead, how are you going to keep up with all the emerging trends that are happening out there in the world? So very important to keep up with all of that. You are all welcome to schedule a strategy session with me. If you use that QR code on the right, that schedules your time with me. We could talk about your social media strategy or anything you want to talk marketing. And then join my LinkedIn Marketing Lab group on the left. So there, I think we have 1,500 business owners in there. You all are allowed to shamelessly plug yourself in my group. I don't have any rules against that, just nothing illegal. But include your links, whatever you want to include in your introduction. And mark any questions you have about marketing. I do answer the questions there if they come up. So go there, network, and introduce yourself. And I have one more QR code. This is the gift from Constant Contact. So the QR code on the left is for a 30-day free trial, or you could use the code 33P at the bottom there for 30% off the first 3 months if you want to do that and just jump right in. That's the gift from Constant Contact to you. And I'm going to look to see if there's any questions before we wrap up. Let me go back up to the Q&A. I already think I answered that one and that one. Okay, here we go. For content pillars, does a 10% promotional increase for Black Friday? Yes, that's a good question, Belinda. So I would say right now we're in 'tis the season. So this is when you are going to definitely want to up your game with selling. This is a time to sell, sell, sell. You can still do some educational stuff, but we're all focused on holiday shopping. If it's, useful things for the holidays, right? Coming up, that could be, top 10 tips to survive holiday shopping. But yeah, definitely up the game for the holiday time. Good point. Besides Canva and Metrical, are there other resources that you love? Gosh, those are the Canva, Metrical. What else do I use on a regular basis? Well, you should have a CRM to manage your customers. I use one called Pipedrive. On that, there's others. 17 Hats is another one that I've used. But generally, Canva, of course, Constant Contact I use for my email. So I don't use too many tools now because a lot of them are consigned. Of course, ChatGPT. That's my favorite AI tool. You just have to learn to, tame the beast, tame the robot. Those are probably the main tools that I use for getting things done for my business. And QuickBooks. There you have to manage the money too, right? Can you share the analytics provided on Metrical and how to prepare for a client? So the Metrical, I don't have a sample of them, but basically it will give you can download all the reports. So all the engagement and reach and links that you get that you would see on Meta or LinkedIn analytics, you basically consolidate some onto Metrical. So I don't know. You probably can go to metrical.com and they might show you some samples of what that looks like, the reporting tools look like on there. It's a good question though. How do you get around, let's see, let me read this right. How do you get around or what suggestions do you have for public sector IT systems that reject marketing emails with attachments or links? Well, I wouldn't send any promotional emails with attachments. I mean, if you're sending them through something like Constant Contact, you normally wouldn't include an attachment. You do have to be careful, right, with spam control, like if they are links out to it, that it's going to happen, right? There's going to be sectors of no matter what kind of spam checking that you do, that there are going to be some that are really aggressively, moving your emails to spam or blocking them in some way. But the best that you possibly can, I mean, you have to include a call to action, right? So it's a little hard not to include that in there. So there's, as much spam cleaning as you possibly can do, just knowing that 100% is not going to get there. Generally, 90+% of email does get delivered. 95% right out there does get delivered. There are always going to be that percentage that is just gets blocked or whatever, but whatever you can do to make sure you're not using spammy keywords or spammy words in your subject line. For example, I worked for a credit union many years ago and they had Salesforce. So they had a really expensive email marketing tool. I was the email marketing manager. Only time I've ever had a true spam tool. And it would, for a credit union, right? The one thing we had free seminars. We did these free seminars on financial planning, whatever. And those would get spam blocked, or tell us, hey, these are going to get spam blocked. So we then change it to complimentary. But unfortunately, with a credit union, we're talking about a lot of spammy things like credit cards and money things that tend to be scammers due to. But there's no other words that we can use. We also had compliance issues. We couldn't hide the fact that we're doing an auto refi or promoting credit cards or whatever. We just had to look at words that we could use that wouldn't be too spammy. And you can use a tool there's a free one out there. It's called mail-tester.com. It's a free spam tester. So you basically plug in what you do is you go to mailtester.com. It gives you an email address. It auto generates one. You then go to say like Constant Contact or whatever platform you're using, send it a test email like you would yourself. go back to the browser with that where they generated that thing, and then it's like, then check your score. It will give you a score and tell you the different problems with the email if it comes up. So things that you can fix. So there's a free tool. mail-tester.com is that one. So I think, let's see, do you have an actual link for the constant contact trial for those who do not scan? You don't scan. I'll include it in the on the assets page. I don't have the link right now, but there is a link behind the QR code. So, but I don't have it available, but I'll make sure it's on the page there so you can just click on the link. So good question. I think, is that it? I think all the questions. Anything? How much time between daily posts on Instagram? I would say, I mean, generally they know the most engagement is between 10 a.m. to say 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. They know from like how many people are engaging in the content. So if you're going to do and test it out, your audience might be on a little bit later, and I know I think on Facebook, there's like a 3 a.m. doom scrolling time where everybody's on there. But generally that time frame, so somewhere within that range, out there. And it's in Meta scheduler. How accurate are the suggested times about? It would be accurate under Meta because they know their algorithms. They know when, again, people are engaging. So if they're recommending like, yeah, you should post it at noon today, they know those would be accurate to the getting the most engagement on a post when people are going to be there to actually comment, like, share it, etc. That makes sense. And yeah, I think it was told to allow 3 hours between posts in reference. Yeah. And with LinkedIn, they have a human algorithm and they have something called the golden hour. So when you post, it's going to go through checks on LinkedIn side before it actually gets out there. So with LinkedIn, you don't have to post necessarily multiple times a day, but you just want to make sure you don't interrupt that golden hour time and post over it because it's already going through that process. But see what works. If you're posting at noon on a Wednesday and then say 4 p.m. and seeing what the engagement's like on the 4 p.m. one, maybe stick with what is getting the most engagement on there, right? I think that's it, Swan. So I'll
Hey.
finish here. Yeah. If there's any other questions you have come up, please feel free to reach out to me, schedule a call with me. I'm happy to answer any questions from there.
Yes, please take advantage of scheduling an appointment with Patty. Great opportunity to pick her brain. Thank you, Patty, for such an incredible sessions. You share so many valuable marketing resources and practice tips on how to promote and grow your business. Let's give Patty a round of applause and amazing speakers, Patty,
Thank you. Thank you.
for the wonderful insight and your inspirations, of course. Your energies, ideas, and expertise truly make this webinar engaging and impactful. And of course, heartfelt thank you to all of you, our wonderful audience. Your enthusiasm, your participations, and your commitment is growing your business. And go out and make this event like this so meaningful. Remember, we are here to support you, whether you're interested in a one-on-one business counseling or access to capital or learn how more about procurement, how to do business with the government. Please do not hesitate to reach out. I just post my email, reach out to me. Keep in mind, Olympic is just around the corner, beginning July 30, 2028, presenting an incredible opportunity to local businesses. We wish you the best as you put today's insight into action. Keep pushing forward, keep innovating, and keep believing in what you do. I can't wait to see you all again in 2026, and what a great job you're doing. Let's go and be bigger and better. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a
And
good
I
rest
will
of the
share
day.
the recording as soon as possible.